What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's Kit Kat here. Oh my god, you guys. I just saw this yesterday, but thank you guys so much for 100 subscribers. I still can't believe that I actually made it to that number. Like, I know some people may think, oh, 100's not a lot. Like, it's not like you're gonna make money yet, but to me, that means a lot because I just started this YouTube channel for fun and stuff like that. Like, I just wanted to make videos and goof around. I wasn't doing anything serious, and I really wasn't expecting us to reach a number like this decently quickly. Like, it usually takes like a good couple of years for most people to reach big numbers, but nonetheless, I'm really grateful that you guys are enjoying my content, that you guys are subscribed, and make sure you ring the bell to receive notifications every time I post a new video so you guys don't miss a thing. So today we are going back with an old friend named Emirichu. She posted a video about 3 days ago that's called High School Theater. Me personally, I am a theater brat, so I can only imagine I'm going to relate to this a lot. So, not to keep you guys waiting, let's get into the video, shall we?
High school to be a particularly eventful period of my life, which might explain why I'd never made a video talking about any of my high school experiences. Well, until now, that is. Let me tell you about my most cherished memory, high school theater. As most of you probably already know, I really enjoy watching theater performances, and it's one of the things that I've been missing dearly the past year. I didn't grow up with a background in performing arts, but I'd always wanted to be a part of the stage. I can't sing, so musicals were out of the question. But I had the opportunity to participate in 2 stage plays in high school, and they were honestly the best parts of the little memory I have of high school. So in junior year, the first play I auditioned for was called The Absence of a Cello. To sum it up quickly, it's a super old play about a family man named Andrew who desperately wants to land a big corporation job, and in order to appeal to the personnel chief in charge of evaluating him, he tries to present himself and his home as classy as possible by hiding everything that made his family interesting. He takes advice from his young neighbor Perry, who's attending business school and is seemingly the most qualified person to teach Andrew the ways of appealing to corporate snobs. Perry is also hopelessly in love with Andrew's daughter, Joanna, who pretty much just strings him along so he can help her dad get the job. There were, of course, a bunch of other students auditioning for the play.
Wow.
One of them being my friend Kate, and a girl who we'll call Bethany. Bethany was the type of girl who, for some reason, always felt like she needed to be a step ahead of other people, even if they were her own friends. If Bethany saw someone drawing, she'd always be the first person to give unsolicited criticism, but if someone did the same thing to her, she'd get defensive and snippy. Like, if you're aware of how annoying it is, then don't do it to other people. Come on. If Bethany found out that one of her friends had a crush on a guy, she'd go out of her way to try and steal attention from them, as if she were suddenly in direct competition with her friend. This happened multiple times. And if Bethany wasn't the center of attention, or if things weren't going her way, she'd throw a hissy fit and make her displeasure as noticeable as possible to the people around her. To put it kindly, Bethany was the worst. Think like Sharpay or Regina George, except take out everything that made those characters iconic. Not fabulous, not fetch, just kinda rude and entitled. Anyways, she's gonna come up again later, just hang on. Since this was my first audition, I was really nervous, and it definitely showed from the way I was delivering my lines, coupled with the fact that I didn't know how to project my voice. The play director, Mr. C, could have easily dismissed my lackluster audition, but he was really kind and actually offered me some helpful advice.
Let's say someone was taking your phone right up in the front row. How would you say, hey?
Hey!
Great. Let's say the same person is taking your phone, but all the way to the back of the room.
Hey!
Perfect. Notice how you're projecting from your diaphragm. You want to make sure your voice reaches the farthest audience member. Now, let's have you try the lines again with that in mind.
I thought it was probably unlikely that I'd get cast since my audition wasn't very good, but I was of course still hopeful, so the next morning I headed over to the theater building where the casting list was posted, and saw Bethany walking from that same direction. Oh, did you already see the list? You got understudy. I got nothing! Should I apologize? Sure enough, there was my name, right next to understudy. Even though it technically meant I wasn't guaranteed a role, since an understudy was just a replacement in the
That's
event of
still
a dropout,
something,
I was
though.
still really excited to show up
That's
to rehearsals every
something.
day. And it seemed like the stars aligned for me, because in just a few days, the girl who was cast for the part of Joanna ended up dropping out due to conflicting schedules. So, I was officially Joanna! My friend Kate was also cast, and she was given the role of Perry. Turns out, not enough guys had auditioned to fill all of the male roles, so Perry's character was changed to a lesbian named Paris, who was still hopelessly pining after Joanna. Since I needed to practice projecting, during lunch and rehearsal days, Kate and I would go outside and practice delivering our lines while standing far away from each other so that we could get used to projecting. Eventually, we'd gotten so good at it that we were the loudest both on the stage and off the stage. I was worried about how stage fright might affect my very first stage performance, since I'd gotten so used to performing for an empty room, but I figured out a hack. I'm blind as a bat, and I figured since I had the staging directions memorized from rehearsing them so many times, I didn't really need my glasses to see anything on stage, and if I took them off, I wouldn't be able to discern faces in the crowd, and it'd just look like one multicolored mass. It'd be as if I were still performing for an empty room. Take that, stage fright! But even with the nifty no glasses hack, it didn't stop the pre-performance
I feel like
jitters
that's not
from
gonna.
getting to me. Mr. C was also the AP art history teacher in addition to being the play director, so I had a class with him at the end of every school day. On the day of our opening night, Mr. C announced to the art history class that the play would start that evening and encouraged them to come see it, especially since one of their fellow classmates would be performing. Once the realization that there'd actually be an audience finally hit me, I started quietly tearing up at my desk. I know, what a little wuss. It's a minor role in a high school production, Emily. It's not a big deal. Now, I don't consider myself an anxious person by any means, but I couldn't help but start worrying for the worst. Like, what if I flub a line or mess up, or what if nobody shows up and all those perfect rehearsal days had gone to waste? Just then, I felt a tap on my desk, and when I looked over, Jesus, the guy who sat directly to my right, had placed a chocolate bar on my desk. It was one of those skinny chocolate bars you see students selling for fundraisers. I didn't really know or ever talk to Jesus, and he hadn't said a word when he put the chocolate on my desk. And to this day, I still have no idea if he did it because he could tell I was feeling nervous or if it was just a good luck tonight chocolate. But it was a really nice gesture that stuck with me, and it genuinely made me feel better. Long story short, the play ended up going great both nights. The day after the last performance, I was walking with Bethany and another friend. I watched the play yesterday. Oh, you did? Did you like it? Well, I was carefully observing your performance in particular, and I felt like your delivery was kind of weak, to be honest. If I was playing Joanna, I would have shown a lot more emotion during the scene with Paris. Like, I really felt like you weren't expressive enough, but it was okay. Uh-huh. Okay, well, Bethany, next time you get cast as Joanna, you can feel free to deliver her lines however you damn well please. Like I said, the worst. Fast forward to second semester, and I'm at the auditions for the second play of the year. Mr. C, being the nonconformist that he is, picked a Shakespeare comedy from 1594 called The Comedy of Errors. So, quick summary. The Comedy of Errors is about two sets of identical twins who become separated and unknowingly end up in the same city where mistaken identity-related shenanigans and confusion ensue. I'm pretty sure he picked this play because, luckily for him, he already had two sets of identical twins in his drama class, one of the pairs being Soleil and Kate. So the twins, of course, had their roles guaranteed to them. I auditioned in the hopes of landing the role of either Adriana, the nagging, stressed-out wife of one of the twins, or her sister Luciana, the sweet and meek single maiden that the other twin falls in love with. This time around, I was way less nervous and more excited at the possibility of being on stage alongside some of my closest friends. Bethany was auditioning too, because of course she was. The next morning, I discovered that I'd be playing the role of Adriana and Bethany would be playing the role of Luciana. I was so excited. Adriana had some pretty lengthy monologues, and I was looking forward to memorizing all of it. Plus, I got to play the part of Soleil's nagging wife. Although, as it turns out, it wasn't the casting that Mr. C had originally intended. After the first day of script reading, Mr. C pulled me aside.
So, I made a bit of a mistake, and I accidentally mixed up Adriana and Luciana's names while I was typing up the casting sheet. I meant to cast you as Luciana and Bethany as Adriana.
Oh, Did you want me to switch roles?
Well, if you'd like to play the role of Adriana, you can keep it. It's just... It's not that I don't think that you can play a mean character. I just don't know if Bethany can play a nice one.
Mr. C, was that shade just now? I was genuinely excited about the idea of playing a moodier character, and to be honest, the pettier side of myself was well aware that Adriana was a bigger role than Luciana, and I wasn't about to let Bethany rub that in my face for the following weeks, so I told Mr. C I wished to keep the role of Adriana, to which he agreed. This play was especially exciting for us because we got to take measurements for period costumes. We were really upping the production quality this time around, and I was pumped. The cast was a lot bigger than the last play, and the script was a little harder to decipher because of the Shakespearean English. But almost everyone did a pretty good job with showing up to all the rehearsals and going off-book in a timely manner. I say almost everyone because one person was really slacking. No, it wasn't Bethany. They had a fairly small role, so they didn't have nearly as many lines to memorize as the rest of the cast. But for whatever reason, they frequently ditched rehearsals, and when they did show up, they messed around and seemed overall pretty disinterested, which led to them still needing the book weeks after the rest of us had already gone off book. This really annoyed Soleil, who was, quite frankly, busting her ass at every rehearsal and memorizing a bajillion lines since she was one of the main characters. And one rehearsal day, just a week or two before opening night, that one problem actor still didn't have their lines memorized, and Soleil had just about had it. The air was really tense that day, and Soleil was staring daggers into the guy who was holding the playback. The scene we were rehearsing that day just so happened to be the scene where her character threatened to gouge out my eyes. All the other times we rehearsed this scene, it felt more comical and fun, but this time her fury was genuine, and everyone could feel it.
Say, wherefore didst thou lock me forth today? And why dost thou deny the bag of gold?
I did not, gentle husband, lock thee forth. And, gentle master, I received no gold, but I confess, sir, that we were locked out. Dissembling villain, thou speakest false in both.
Dissembling harlot, thou art false in all, and art confederate with a damned pack to make a loathsome abject scorn of me.
But with these nails, I'll pluck out these false eyes that would behold in me this shameful sport.
Oh, bind him! Let him not come near me, so stop! As we should have expected, the slacker ended up dropping out of the play just days before we were supposed to perform. And since there was no understudy this time to cover on such short notice, we had to get someone on the team to read the lines off the book for that particular character. Of course, Mr. C was pissed, but aside from that blunder, the whole show went amazingly on both nights. And if you're curious about how Bethany did as the sweet and bashful Luciana, I'll admit she actually did a really good job. At the end of the school semester, Mr. C handed out these cute little awards, and he gave me Most Improved and Best Memorization, which honestly made me happier than any A+ I'd ever received from any school test that year. If you're looking into extracurriculars and maybe want to buff in your confidence stats, I definitely recommend theater. Personally, I think it's a lot of fun and a great learning experience, especially if you have a good drama teacher. It showed me that I genuinely love performing, sort of like how I'm doing now, I guess. Does this count? By the way, the sponsor of today's video is Raycon. I've owned my pair of Raycons for a year now, and they're still holding up, and I somehow haven't lost them yet. Raycon offers their wireless earbuds in a range of fun colors and patterns, a variety of fit options, and no dangling wires or stems to get in the way of your daily activities. I've been trying to take better care of my skin recently by avoiding contact between my phone and my cheeks, so my earbuds have been super useful for making phone calls without the fear of germs touching my face. As you've heard me mention before, Raycon gives you 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design for a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. It's premium wireless audio for half the price, and they have a 45-day free return policy if they're not to your liking. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/Emirichu to get 15% off your Raycon purchase.
Cool. Oh, that was good. I like that. God, when she brought up that there was a Regina George at her damn school, oh, I got heated. I've had to deal with so many people like that in my life. Gets me mad. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And again, thank you guys so much for the 100 subscribers. I personally want to try celebrating this mini milestone. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Me personally, I want to try and do something kind of like a live Q&A, so you guys can like ask me questions while I'm live. Probably didn't need to explain that, but regardless, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, click subscribe for more content, and ring the bell to receive notifications every time I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces!